It's critical that we understand the basic economic mechanisms that dictate our daily lives so that we understand what is really going on around us and why we are standing on a house of cards. Let's start out with some very basic definitions. Wealth is the accumulated value of the sum of your time and freedom. In other words, when you decide to sacrifice some of your time and or freedom to benefit others in society, you are rewarded with money, which you can then use to purchase time and freedom from others. In other words, goods or services. Those goods were produced through the expenditure of someone's time to obtain or refine resources. For example, mining ore takes someone's time. Refining that ore into stronger materials takes someone else's time. Refining that into something useful, such as a sword, takes yet more time and skills. When you trade your money for a good, such as a sword, you are paying for all of the time that went into the collection and refinement of the materials that went into that good. Some people earn more money for their time than others based on their skills, which is another way of saying that what someone is paid is based on their marketable skills or their monetary value to society, which is based on what they can produce for others. Money, then, must be a store of value, as well as a medium of exchange and a union of account, and it also must be portable, durable, divisible, and fungible, identical to one another. For over 5,000 years, gold and silver have served as the most reliable forms of money on the planet because they meet all of those requirements, and they have consistently maintained the same purchasing power throughout millennia. By contrast, today what we typically use in the United States is the US dollar, which is in fact no longer money, but rather fiat currency. The difference is that this fiat currency does not serve as a reliable store of value because the government can and does depreciate its value systematically as a form of taxation called inflation, transferring its value from one group to another. The term fiat means official, and in the U.S., federal legal tender laws require that each of us accept the U.S. dollar for all debts, public and private, as it states on the dollar paper currency. If not for these legal tender laws and generations of conditioning of the public, when one tried to pass a piece of paper backed by absolutely nothing to another for goods and services, the recipient would laugh and refuse to accept such a worthless piece of paper as payment. But we have been conditioned and forced to accept these worthless pieces of paper as if they had real value. This was not always the case. Join me in a brief trip through history to understand the context of our financial history. When the United States was founded, the Founding Fathers had a deep mistrust of fiat currencies, and they had just experienced wild inflation through the Revolutionary War and the Continental Dollar, and after, as a number of states printed currency that was not backed by money and thus became worthless. Thus, when writing the U.S. Constitution, the Founding Fathers worded it carefully, granting Congress the power to coin money, to regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin. And further, they said that no state shall coin money, emit bills of credit, or make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. In other words, the federal government was to coin money in the form of gold and silver, and states were not allowed to allow anything but gold and silver to be used for the payment of debts. Their intention was clearly that the United States was thenceforth to be based on principles of sound money, which are based on gold and silver, and never again to be subjected to the perils of fiat currencies. Unfortunately, corrupt politicians and bankers have fought against those principles of sound money ever since, unable to resist the power inherent in controlling and printing unlimited currency for their own desires and those of their friends. The insidious financial institutions, known as central banks, have reared their ugly heads throughout our history. Secretary of the Treasury Alexander Hamilton fought for the creation of a national bank, and in 1791, despite bitter opposition by many founding fathers, including Thomas Jefferson, Congress chartered the first bank of the United States, even though it was a private bank owned partially by foreigners. In 1811, its charter expired and was not renewed by Congress. After 5 years and the War of 1812 and associated debt and the temptation to monetize it, Congress chartered the second bank of the United States, again owned largely by foreign investors. President Andrew Jackson, an advocate for hard money, made it his mission and primary platform to destroy the central bank and vetoed the renewal of its charter in 1834. Nicholas Biddle, president of the Second Bank of the United States, even said nothing but widespread suffering will produce any effect on Congress. as he intentionally wreck the economy in an effort to put pressure on Congress to override Jackson's veto of the bank's recharter. But ultimately, Jackson was the bank. Finally, in 1913, a small group of banking elites met secretly on Jekyll Island and devised a plan to convince Congress and President Woodrow Wilson to create an institution called the Federal Reserve Bank. Of course, while it was sold to Congress as a plan for the public good to stabilize banking, in reality, the Federal Reserve Bank is nothing more than another privately owned central bank that has the ability to create currency at will. The Federal Reserve acts as if it's an agent government, acts as if it's under control. The government agreed to enforce its rules on all banks in the U.S. and implemented legal tender laws which forced us to accept Federal Reserve notes as if they were money. Since the Constitution prohibits Congress from creating a fiat currency, Congress essentially appointed this private bank to do it for them, thus bypassing the constitutional restraint on government. When the federal government wants money, all it has to do is create a treasury bill or an IOU out of thin air that is then purchased by the Federal Reserve in exchange for Federal Reserve notes, which are also created out of thin air. It's a massive shell game designed who are oblivious to this process. Every time this happens, the value of dollars that you hold are devalued. Since 1930 of its value. Think about that. In reality, what has happened is the Federal Reserve, in cahoots with from 90% of our wealth from 1915 today as their friends. So
all right, family. I don't know what happened. We are going to went out. We're not gonna restart it, but I believe I know exactly where we were at, somewhere around. So I apologize. Street Ministry TV, y'all. Midday with Tay and Toia. We will go back, but let's do this again. Okay. Let me go back just a little bit. This should probably be a good place. Forgive me, family. I have no idea what happened. All right. Let's do it again. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. Appreciate your patience. That's right, sis Trina. Trina said they can't handle the truth. It's right, brother Daniel. Too much heat for them. They might be doing it like they do this best. That might be a good thing. Let's go, y'all. Here we go.
Agree to enforce its rules on all banks in the U.S. and implemented legal tender law which forced us to accept Federal Reserve notes as if they were money. Prohibits Congress from creating a fiat essentially appointed by the bank to do it for them. It's a massive shell game designed to dupe Americans who are oblivious to this process. Every single time that this happens, the value of dollars that you hold are devalued. Since 1913, when the Federal Reserve dollar has lost 9% value. Think about what has happened is the federal government has stolen 98% of this redistribution can be seen in the form of government payouts that occur after the Treasury bill for dollar swap. But much of it we don't even see because the Federal Reserve can create currency either on paper or electronically at will and distribute it to whomever it wants without any approval process or any oversight. We know this has happened many times, even to foreign banks and governments. You can also think of this process as legalized counterfeiting. If we were to do it, we'd go to jail. But when the government and its friends do it, it's magically legal. During all of this, there was one annoying restraint that central banks had to deal with, at least on the surface, and that was that these currencies, including the US dollar and even state banknotes, were backed to one degree or another by gold and silver, which is real money. If this wasn't the case, everyone would understand that the counterfeiting was going on and realize that these fiat currencies in reality have no value whatsoever. Until 1933, you could bring your U.S. dollar to the U.S. Treasury and exchange these dollars for actual gold, or in the case of silver certificates, silver. The Federal Reserve Act, in order to get passed, actually required Federal Reserve notes to be backed by 40% gold. In other words, 40% of the value of those dollars in existence needed to be backed up by gold held by the U.S. Treasury. By 1933, Franklin Roosevelt was elected president, and he was determined to bring as much currency into existence as he needed to fund all of the government programs and redistribution schemes he had dreamed of. In 1917, Congress passed the Trading with the Enemy Act, which gives the president the power to oversee or restrict any and all trade between the U.S. and its enemies in times of war. It was amended by Congress in 1933 by the Emergency Banking Relief Act, which extended the scope of that act regarding hoarding gold to apply to any declared emergency and not just in times of war. FDR then signed Executive Order 6102, which forbade the hoarding of gold coin, bullion, and certificates within the continental U.S. He required citizens to surrender, with few exceptions, all of their gold to the Federal Reserve in exchange for $20.67 per ounce within a month. Once he confiscated all the gold, Congress passed the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, which then prohibited the Treasury from redeeming dollars for gold to citizens on demand, as had been done for decades. And the act also magically revalued gold to $35 per ounce, now redeemable only by foreign governments, thus providing much more cushion for the Federal Reserve to crank out currency to fund all the federal programs and redistribution schemes that FDR could come up with. In 1971, realizing that the Federal Executive Order 11615, which froze wages and prices for 90 days. From this point on, there wasn't even the pretense that the dollar was backed by anything at all. According to Milton Friedman, these pieces of green paper have value because everybody thinks they have value, and that's it. The problem is that, as Voltaire stated, paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value, zero. Of the literally thousands upon thousands of fiat currencies throughout history, every single one has collapsed to zero, without exception. Why would the US dollar be an exception to this rule? Throughout history, the average life expectancy of a fiat currency is 27 years. We are overdue, since 1971 was the time when the US dollar became a 100% fiat currency without anything at all backing it up. And there's a reason we are overdue. Our fiat currency, the US dollar, also happens to be the reserve currency of the world. In other words, the dollar is used globally for financial transactions of nearly every kind. Major exchanges such as OPEC use the dollar exclusively. This is not because the dollar is more stable than other options, but it's based on two things. Number one, the fact that American military and political power strongly encourage/coerce the use of the dollar around the world. And number two, other major currencies and central banks have been inflating their fiat currencies to much the same degree as the Federal Reserve has been. And thus there are few alternatives for now. That's beginning to change. When the masses of U.S. dollars that are held the world, as those around the world begin to realize the dollar's real worth, the music stops when the population suddenly comes to the realization that their fiat currency is indeed worthless. People rush to obtain stuff, indeed anything at all, that might have real value in exchange for their worthless currency, if they can find anyone to accept the currency, that is. Anyone actually willing to accept the currency will only accept what only a day or perhaps even an hour before would have been considered an absurdly high price. That is the inevitable destiny of the US dollar. It's not a question of if the dollar will collapse, but when it will happen. How much longer can the music keep playing? I hope this video has helped to explain the situation that we now find ourselves in and how we can hedge against what will inevitably come next. If your savings or your investments are dependent upon the US dollar, such as in the stock market, I would encourage you to consider moving them to sound money.
All I want to know is, are you mad yet? Are you mad yet? You should be. Man, first off, winners never quit. You already know, but a quitter never wins. This is your boy Tay Toia. I want to welcome you all to the Midday with Tay and Toia show.
And Toia.
That's right. And we are ready for the revolution. How you feeling today, sister?
I am feeling fabulous, Tay. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm outstanding. I'm excited about today. Well, I'm always excited because I get to see you every day. We get to do this every day. We get to have fun. Today is a special day. Every day is a special day just to be above ground. But today, we're going to let you know like one of my singles in the title of one of my mixtapes, the revolution is now being televised. You better believe it. And if you are not ready for the revolution, you better get ready, because today we have for our special guest, the one, the only, Brother Eric Ture Muhammad. Welcome to the Midday with Tay and Toia show, brother. How are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, ready for revolution. I'm great, soldiers. How about yourselves? Hey, Toia.
Hello, how you doing? Hey.
Great.
Are you ready for a revolution?
It's necessary. You know I'm in it for the long haul. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's
go.
Well, I hope you guys are hearing me okay. My computer is doing some crazy wicked things over here. They don't, man, I think they put me in that top best category. They trying not to let this, they put me in your category, Brother Eric. They don't want this knowledge to get out, evidently. But we got to share it. Somebody got to do it, so why not us? So yes, we want to thank you all and welcome you all today, this afternoon. While we do have fun, we're going to have some serious conversation today, family. What I want to do first off, I want to let you guys all know, we have to let you guys know that this show is powered by Calfani Radio. I do this for my brother Carlito.
The guns, son, the guns.
That's right. That is right. I want to give a shout out to our leaders, Mr. Tyrone Best, the leader and founder of Wealthbuilders Worldwide, Mr. Michael L. Dalcoe, Mr. Free 103 himself. And today, that pre-call, ladies and gentlemen, was done by, I did that. That's right. I had the call today. I was about to say Sister Sherry Brown. I had the pre-call today. That's right. The power call was hosted by, the days get to running together, y'all. The power call was hosted by your brother this morning. And the title of that pre-call was called The Destiny of the Dollar. And the beginning of the video, it talked about people exchanging time for dollars. And that's something that we talk about a lot in Karatbars International, Wealthbuilders Worldwide. We try to teach people the importance of residual income and not trading time for dollars, actually moving into a system where their money is working for them. Now, they talked about the purchasing power of the dollar. And I want to get straight into this information. If you guys don't know, the reason that I got into Karatbars International was because I didn't know anything about gold outside of chains, rings, and watches. I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan state that Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated that we all should acquire gold because gold would be the new medium of exchange in the future. I didn't understand inflation. I didn't understand the purchasing power of the dollar, but that was enough for me to understand that I need to get gold. And as I became educated in this industry on currency, the difference between currency and paper, it let me know that what we have our hands on, we are in a real privileged position to, one, have our hands and be able to acquire gold, but two, one thing that we're able to do, and I love about Karatbars International, you hear me say a lot, go for self and do for self. I'd never heard that until I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad state that as well. But Karatbars International allows anyone, no matter who you are, to pick yourself up from your bootstraps, no matter who you are, no matter what's been going on, no matter what has happened in your life. You can sign up for free and you can go to work. You can even the playing field. You can acquire that real money, which is gold. And two, when you're able to go for self and do for self, you're able to help your people, all humanity as well. So I'd like for you, brother, to maybe to start off, maybe if you can elaborate on this privileged position that we are in to have our hands on this system.
Wow. How much time y'all got?
Hey, take your time, brother. Take your time, brother.
Listen, on the streams I've been doing during the week, the early morning class and sessions, we deal with that foundationally because we talk about, first of all, I'm on Tay and Toia. I'm on midday with Tay and Toia. Yo, it's like I have arrived for real, but for several reasons. Number one, I've been trying to get Sister Toia to do something from the time that I met her. You know, I said, yeah, we're going to bounce on streams. We're going to do this and the other. And she'd be like, yeah, all right. Or I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be back, and wouldn't see her for weeks, months, you know. And of course, Brother Dante, you know, what you provide people with your presence, with your skill set, with your knowledge, brother, your knowledge base is something that the world needs to hear. They really need to hear it, you know? And so to be coupled with the two, who the dynamic duo here, I already know the power and the far reach that this will have beyond this presentation, you know. And of course, it doesn't hurt to be powered by Kafani Radio, because your radio really isn't on if Kafani's not putting his foot in it, you know. So I want a big shout out to my brother Carlito as well. But this morning, we were talking about this very thing, you know, the fact that this is about divine purpose. Everybody's not called to Karatbars. You know, it's not like you have a shopping cart and you're going through the stores and you look on the shelf and you say, well, let me pick up a little cash gold. Is that a multi-gold pack? I'll grab that, put in the cart and keep moving. It doesn't work like that. It works like faith. It works exactly like faith, spiritual centeredness. It works in that vein because it comes from the God himself. So what happened? Someone had to introduce to you an opportunity. Someone introduced you to faith. It might have been your parents coming into birth. It might have been you on the street and you might have met somebody with a religious tract. It might have been one of the brothers or sisters with the Final Call newspaper. It could have been any one of those vantage points, but that's how faith works. You have to be introduced to it, because self-awareness, it doesn't come natural. It's just natural to accept it once it's made itself known, once it's made itself relevant, once it's pricked your conscience. You see? So it comes in the same vein. Someone invites you to the opportunity. They don't try to convince you. They just say, look, this is what I'm doing. You might want to take a look at this. And then once you take a look and once you decide this is the way you want to go, it's your decision, your choice, and then it's up to you to make your path, make your way in it. But you're not by yourself. Churches have Bible studies. You know, mosques and synagogues have study groups. There are all kind of things that go on online for major events. Don't we do all that in Wealthbuilders? We do the same thing. We do our power calls. We do our freedom call with our leaders, right? You know, we get on the live streams. We read books. We dedicate ourselves to CDs and DVDs. Why? Because it fuels belief. Feeding the belief will allow you to fuel the attitude, the posture, the oomph you need, that stick-to-itiveness you must have, the desire to Just keep moving when people ridicule you or condemn you. You just keep moving because you now know your mission and you're feeding your purpose. And as you feed your purpose, then acceptance comes because they know that's just not a track that you can't be taken away from. So yeah, we do this, brother. This role is divine. God uses whom he chooses, and I thank God that he chose me to be with you, to be with Sister Toia, to be with all these wealth builders, this beautiful collective, this family that shows us the truth of what we say, that we're in business for ourselves, but we're not by ourselves. There's a difference between being alone and lonely, you see? And so this is the power of what we have. Here's the other thing, if I can continue that little rant. You have God as the creator. You have God as the creator, but you also have God as a creator. When the Bible opens up talking about God, it opens up talking about how he produced light, the heavens and the earth. He separated the sky, the water, the land. He gave you vegetation with seeds in it that will be plentiful and abound and bountiful. And you know what he said after all that, when he went back and observed what he had done? He said, that's good. We say today, someone say, well, that's dope. Well, that's fire. But that was God saying it's good, right? Okay, what did he introduce? He introduced entrepreneurship. And his first business venture is the universe. It's the universe, you see? And then he went on to create male and female. He made them, he and she, he made them, right? He created a duo. He gave us our first dual team. And he allowed that dual team to do what? Duplicate what he has done. So you have women who come into the world who are blessed to carry children in their womb or carry brilliance and creativity in their minds. And they become a walking two-legged workshop. And they give us everything that reflect what God gave us in the beginning. You think about it. From the woman comes child. Matter of fact, is it Eli's birthday yet? You think I wasn't watching, huh? You thought I wasn't paying attention, didn't you?
It's on the 22nd.
Okay, I know some things. I'm not like they say. So look, you know, just as you're made to bring life, a star from the womb of woman, from the womb of the universe, God brought the sun, the stars, the moon, and the planets. He's allowed you to recreate to show your power and your relationship. Even in the Bible, you're described as the second self of God, sister. You're not described second to God. Second self of. We don't have that description. We don't. You know, you represent the workshop, the lab of righteousness. That's who you are. So anyway, so it takes two, and then the network is produced. And then what do? You just share. And as you share, things may not come together right away. You know, I was blessed to talk to Mr. Michael L. Dalcoe just before this presentation, you know, and you know what he said to me? He said, we were talking about a live stream he did a couple of days ago. And I shared with him how I was told I need to use some of those words that he used because around the house, I don't speak that clean. He said, what do you mean? I said, you know, I have to learn how to say dadgummit instead of the other thing. You know, I'll be walking around this house cussing and woofing and carrying on. Not so much as now in Ramadan, God got a hold on me, you know. But we talked about this power of duplication. The fact that a man can run a 4-minute mile, and once he's done it, 20,000 people can do it right behind him because they've seen it before. You need to see the power of who you are and what you have. Because yes, there's good in you, but there's also God in you. How do you know? God shows you it's been done before. He's created everything in the universe to give you the tools by which to maneuver. And then he gives you woman as a sign to show you his universe. He gives us the ability to build as men and women all over the world. Then, as men and women, we've been given his ultimate gift, which is freedom of choice, freedom of will. Then we mess everything up, you know, because then we think it operates without him. And so we muck up a whole world. So we have pandemics, we have resets, we have economic collapses, right? So what does any entrepreneur do with a startup business? He comes back in and tweaks and revamps it. He brings everything to a halt. He reevaluates, he reassesses, and then he puts it in motion to give it more structure and greater direction to serve his purpose as the entrepreneur. God is the entrepreneur. No one else could have allowed this pandemic to happen. No one else could have stopped the whole world. No one else. There are conspiracies. Yes, ain't no doubt about that. We're not fools. We know there's a war. And in a war, it doesn't take two sides declaring it. It just takes one to do the other. So either you're a casualty by default or you're a casualty actively defending and combating a thing. So someone has declared war, but not on us. They declared it on the God. You see? So the whole world was brought still just so that he can show that who he is the reality, the only reality. So in this revamp and this reset, we're being blessed to reset our lives, right? We're being blessed. None of us are out here going to work. None of us, all of you are getting a taste of the freedom that many of us already enjoy. You get to sleep until you get tired of doing it. And you walk around the house and see what else you can do. You know, man, this is, it's dope. So I know that's a long ways to go. That's right. Oh man, he's on. He said freedom practice.
Uh-oh. I didn't see you have
is.
another guest. You know, I gotta bring him in.
Here he is.
I definitely gotta bring him. I'm not gonna even say who it is. I just let him come on here. But yeah, brother.
Well, everybody rise.
That's right.
Freedom.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Bro, how long have you been in with the Nation of Islam?
Now it's been, I came to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 1977, about the end of 1977. So 43 or so years, myself, Brother Jamil, a few others.
Oh, okay.
Been around a minute.
How was life growing up with a revolutionary father?
Well, the real revolution started with mother. My mama didn't play, boy. Marion T, look. I didn't know it was this until years later. I didn't know how unique it was. I didn't know how special it was because these are your parents, you know? So you have mother, you have father, and as a child, all you know is what they put in front of you, what they've guided you in, what they nurtured you with, what they protected you from. You don't even know that part until you get older and see, man, how come I never experienced that coming up? So, you know, you don't really know until you're made to know. You know, birds don't know they can fly as chicks. They had to get kicked out of these nests. You know, so I didn't really know how special it was. And my relationship was stronger with the street. I was part of that street team, not the ministry. I was into something else, Doc. I can tell you straight up.
Stories too. I ain't gonna tell you that's the stories too.
But I always wanted brotherhood. I always wanted to be a part of something. I always wanted to be great. That I knew. I always wanted there to be more to my life. You know, I was raised in Brooklyn, New York. And in Brooklyn, my mother was a Methodist, okay? And the only church around us was the Catholic Church. And it was a white gangster neighborhood. And you had to go through a whole lot to get there. My sister died in my father's arms at 2 years old because you couldn't go into the hospitals if you were colored. You see, we came up in a whole different kind of time. You know, and so, but I always wanted more. I used to walk around the house because what I would see in the Catholic Church, you know, they walk around with these robes and they were carrying candles and they were singing Kumbaya and doing all that. I would put a towel or a sheet over my back and I'd walk around the house carrying a mop handle. My mother like, boy, if you don't put that down, I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that mop. But I just knew there was more to me, but I didn't know what it was. Right? So one day I discovered that Black people didn't have things like white people. It was just totally different. I noticed it was different and I wanted to know why. You know, and in the context of where we are, I never looked for a job ever to have money. When I wanted money, I just willed it. I just, you know, you be in the street, you know, doing what we do. It might have been an old 40 that I had, you know, they were 32s then. But anyway, I had something, I would say, man, I need $20. I didn't go apply to no store or apply to a place to get a job to work 2 weeks, a week in the hole just to come out with $20. I got me $20. Do you know when I was maybe 10 or 11 years old, I walked out of my home and there was a broken dining room table. The whole set was there, but I was interested in the table because the table had 3 full legs on it and a broken one was down like half. I dragged that sucker back into somebody's backyard and I made all the legs even and I sold it as a coffee table for $10. I was about maybe 10 or 11, I think. I thought I wanted to be a carpenter because I was able to do that. It just, in my mind, that was diminished. Then I went on and looked at other things that were going on in the world. That was diminished. I have a nephew here, Theo. Theo, we used to walk out and he'd be sitting in his yard playing with Tonka trucks. And my mother would say, Theo, you need to go to school. Theo was like 6 years old. He wouldn't go to school. He would, if they dropped him off or the school bus came to pick him up, he'd stay right there in his yard and let them go on. And I remember him saying, just as plain as day, he's playing with that truck. He said, Ms. Martin, I don't need to go to school. I'm going to be a truck driver. Today, he owns a fleet of trucks in Florida.
Wow.
You see, so when you're allowed to embrace your passion, your gift, your dream, so many things happen. I didn't know the path I was on. I didn't know what my parents did for me. But when I came to the truth through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I was able to marry on everything that Kwame Ture was saying, everything that he was teaching, everything that he was doing, that's when I realized I had a mission and purpose in life. So what it was like growing up with him, it was like any child growing up with a father, you know, with a parent. What it was like working in the same vein as he and Minister Farrakhan, it was the realization of everything being possible, that there's more to us than meets the eye, and we have a greater responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required.
Brother, what I'm about to say, I almost want to pause you because that's almost the next question where we're going. But what I want to do, while we do have the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to everybody that is listening right now, the brother that you're listening to, the son of Kwame Ture, formerly known as Stokely Carmichael, it is truly an honor to have him on our platform. It's a privilege to call this brother, like seriously, my big bro. We also have a very special guest. I didn't know he was coming on here, but I have to bring him on. I have to let him speak to this community, because one thing that we're taught every day is that freedom is possible.
Yes.
Freedom is truly possible. And a lot of times we don't see people, and I know there's people from all different races and background on here, so you guys know me, so I don't even have to go there. But us as Black people, a lot of times we don't see successful people unless they slinging crack rock or got a wicked jump shot. They're either playing sports or they're in the streets. But we have a brother that, I mean, he inspires that. We say it every day, but let me just say this. Let me say, Brother Mike, like what you do for me, what you do for us to be able to see it. As you stated, Brother Eric, they thought running up under the 4-minute mile was impossible until somebody did it. This brother, I don't know, he wasn't the first one, but this brother, at least to myself, he was the first one that I saw, like, and along with Mr. Best, like, wow, like freedom, real freedom is possible. And brother, if you don't mind, I mean, talk to the people, whatever you want to talk to them about, but we are privileged to have Mr. Michael L. Dalcoe. He is our senior partner here in Wealthbuilders Worldwide. For those of you who don't know his story, this brother is a former mortgage banker. very successful at that. His wife was a corporate trainer as well, professional couple, very beautiful couple as well. And within 103 days after being involved in this business, he's free. And when we say free, you guys, I want you to really understand, not just, oh, he's retired and okay, he has a little money to live off of. He doesn't have to punch anybody's clock. Like, no, his children are free because of his efforts. His wife is free off of her efforts as well, but his children are free. Their family is free. They have created generational wealth, a true legacy just from this business. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael L. Dalcoe, thank you for coming on with us, sir. The floor is yours, brother.
I I feel so small being on the platform with Eric Ture Muhammad right now. Literally, he will tell you, well, first of all, I'm being rude. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Miss Stacey Arnold. Good to see you. And Mr. Taylor, phenomenal to be on the platform with you. But Mr. Ture Muhammad will tell you the way I got on here is he reminded me of you guys' event at 3 o'clock. I'm on to watch, right? I'm on to be poured into. You know, I talk a lot all day long and my phone rings a lot with business partners around the world, but I got on really to be fed and to be watered. And I was just listening. I was like, dog, I shouldn't have chatted, but y'all, what throwing this stuff down, it was so good. It was just so good. I said, well, I have to definitely log in and say something. And here you go. You know, come on, Mr. Dalcoe, and say something. And I can always say something because this journey that we're all on together, it is spectacular. I mean, there is nothing like this on the planet, Mr. Taylor. And it's possible for everybody. I literally was just telling Mr. Muhammad, we were talking together and he was doing what he does, always building people up. And so he was building me up. And I said, you know, it feels good to get accolades from your colleagues, from your equals, my brothers and sisters, and they say a lot of nice things about me. I get some bad things said about me too on YouTube, boy. You guys on YouTube that call me the N-word and stuff like that, y'all be going in. But I love you nonetheless. You're still my brothers and my sisters. You just don't know better yet. I bless you and I pray for you and I love you. And just love each other, man. Y'all don't have to go hard on me. Just log off. It's easy to just log off. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me how dumb I am with my rich self. Just log off. You don't need, if what I say doesn't bring value to you, log off. But anyway, fortunately, I get to talk to brothers like Mr. Muhammad, and he was just complimenting me and saying nice things. And what I said to him was, it does feel good to get accolades from your colleagues, but after a while, it kind of, it loses its luster because I know that what we've been able to do, anybody with a dream and a desire and apply the necessary, a dream, desire, and work ethic. And a lot of people are developing their dream. They got a big desire in their heart, but they haven't applied that third leg to that stool, which is put the elbow grease to it and do the work. See, now I'm feeling like I want to talk a lot because I know,
brother,
I know for a fact that those that are listening to me right now, you want it. I know you want it. And if you've been hanging around Ty and Val Best for any period of time, your dream is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
That's right.
I was saying to some people, I did a little writing, and I said, even if you don't want the house, Sister Santoya, even if you don't want the big house, even your house looks beautiful in your background, I can see it, looks gorgeous. But even if you don't want a bigger house, go look anyway. Go look anyway, because your vision requires that you continually expand your exposure. You got to continue to expand your exposure. Your destiny, your children's children need you to dream bigger. See, for you, oh man, I got to shut up. I'm about to lose it. Okay, look.
We got him.
Oh my God. See, I hate this. I hate this, man. Guys, you always say, Rayfus, you say, no, I want that Maybach and that $1 million house. Okay, that covers you. But your great-grandchildren need you to find that 1,000-acre ranch.
Go ahead.
Because your dream has got to be so big until your progenitors until the people that come after you won't ever be able to fulfill the dream. You got to make it huge because God is not a waster. There's a scripture for those of you that read the Bible where the prophet told the woman to go out and get vessels. And he said to her, not a few. He said, it was a time of famine. They were about to die. She makes the prophet a cake with the last bit of oil, the last cruse of oil, and the last bit of flour that she had. She made a cake for the prophet. He gave her a little piece for her and her son. She says, we make this cake for you unless we die. She was planning on making a cake and starving to death. He said, go out and borrow vessels, not a few. She came back with 6. She could have come back with 600. She came back with 6 vessels, and the oil filled every vessel, and then it stopped. Why did it stop? Because that was all the vessels she had left. It filled every vessel that her dream was big enough to bring in the house.
Teach.
That's how God works. That's how the universal provision works, just that way. Son Toia, it will fill up every vessel you bring it. You bring that little vessel, that little dream, it'll fill it. See, I like what Les Brown said. He said the problem is not that we dream too big and we miss it. Me and Mr. Muhammad was talking about that today, about our goals and our dreams. It's not that we dream too big and miss. It's that we dream too small and hit dead in the bullseye. We want that Toyota Camry, boom, we're driving it. We want that little 3-bedroom house, we living in it. We're scared to dream big. We're scared to see ourselves with a garage. See, y'all think that little thing on most houses, that 2-car garage, that's not a garage. That's a garage. The wealthy people, they have a garage. All right, they have a garage. And you know when you have a garage, it's because you got a guy that goes around and starts each of your cars every day so the battery doesn't die. Which car are we taking today, right? You have a garage, you got 12 cars, and they're not depreciating cars, they're collector's items. Why are we afraid to dream that big? Now, we all want it, but we lie to ourselves and tell ourselves we don't.
Teach.
We lie to ourselves. I'll prove it. The minute you look on TV of Lifestyles of Rich and Famous, everybody's sitting there with their mouth open. The moment you go to a 5-star hotel and you had to pre-send them a week in advance of all of your meals and the temperature of the meats, and everything comes made to order without you calling room service. Right? When they change the decor in the room based on your favorite color. Woo! See, we stay in hotels, we think the W is nice. But when when we called one of our business partners, we were bringing them to Atlanta, they didn't have a hotel nice enough here for him. He wouldn't stay in any of the hotels here.
Wow.
Next level.
Next.
I had my Rolex watch. I don't have it on my arm right now. Karen Bars gave us, we earned a $13,000 Rolex. I showed the gentleman my Rolex. I won't call his name, but I showed him my Rolex, and he had on a Patek Philippe. And my watch looked way better than his. It really did. The Rolex is funky. It's sexy. And it looked way better than his. And I said, let's trade watches. And I took mine off and handed it to him. And he held it and he gave me his. And the weight differential, his watch was like, it was like a pound of watch. And I said, what is this? He said, this is a Patek Philippe. And I said, so how much did it cost? I was asking those, poor black man questions, because I was raised in the hood. I had never seen a watch. The $13,000 watch on my arm blew my mind. And I said to him, how much did it cost? And he said, take a guess. And I said, 20,000. He said, higher. I said, 40,000. He said, higher. 50,000. I'm so slow. I'm moving up in $10,000 increments. And he says, a lot higher. I said, 100,000, little more, 150. Guys, the watch, the Patek Philippe he was wearing was $250,000. And I put it on my arm and I said, you can go ahead and wear mine. And he says, I cannot wear this, Mr. Dalcoe. I cannot put this on my arm. The dude dives off into the ocean with the Patek Philippe. This is his daily watch. Now we go, our little infinitesimal brain, we go, that's excessive. Guys, a $100 watch, a $100 watch on the arm of a guy who makes $30,000 a year is excessive. A $250,000 watch on the arm of a guy that makes $2 million a month is a Timex. We gotta think bigger. We just have to think bigger. I like having these conversations because I like to push people to the edge of their ability, because the fear is not that we're woefully inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond belief and we can't handle it. So thank you, Mr. Taylor. I am not going to take up any more time on Eric Ture Muhammad's live stream.
This isn't mine, sir. I'm just hanging out. It's midday. I'm just hanging out with Tay and Toia.
Hey,
Thank you so much, Mr. Dalcoe, for that information. I needed that.
Hey, let me ask, if you don't mind, brother. We are going to go a little longer today because I have you. I've heard this answer before, but I want to ask you on this platform, Mr. Dalcoe. We know the free 103 story, got free in 103 days. What I would like for you to, not to break it all the way down, but what I would like for you to do is maybe we talk about massive action. Can you explain or maybe break down what you did that enabled you that freedom?
Mr. Muhammad, was he listening to us? Did you have him on the line?
I think he had some kind of bug on our phones.
Yeah,
proof we need to start using our impulse phones.
You asked him that earlier?
We literally talked about my game plan for the next 90 days. I'm going to relaunch my business. And the reason why I haven't done it yet is because the team is really growing like weeds, and it's going so fast till I know that once I sit down to start recruiting again, it's going to double launch and I'm going to be twice as busy, and I got to get my mind ready for that. But what I did, which is what I'm going to do again, I got my start date June 15th. I'm going to do exactly what I did before, except I'm going to do it in my business account and my wife's account. And this is what I did. And if you keep it this simple, you will do it too. Because I think people spend too much time. Here's a good one for you, Mr. Ture Muhammad. People spend too much time getting ready to get ready.
Boy, please.
Yeah, they're cleaning their desk. They're organizing their paperwork. They're making their list. They're vacuuming the floor. They're buying new equipment, getting it all set up just right, getting their little live stream software together. They're reading books. They're doing all the stuff. They're getting ready to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw Carrot Bars, I had this blessing called the inspiration of desperation. I realized that I had worked for 40 years. I was 49 years old when I saw this thing. And I just did what every logical thinking broke person should do. I looked in my bank account and I divided my bank account total by the number of years I had been working, and I wanted to kill myself. I was disgusted. I had $5,000 in the bank after working since I was 15, and I was 49 years old. And somebody had the good graces to call me and say, take a look at this video. And when I looked at it, I saw that it was saving gold and getting paid to tell others how to save gold. Let me let that sit on you for a second, because I think people spend way too much time making it other than those two things. Maybe it's three. Get in business for yourself, saving gold. That's one thing. Get in business for yourself, saving gold, and referring others to do the same. They do those two. And there are people do those. It's two things. Tell people, save gold, make money. And when Mr. Best explained it that way to me, Dante, I said, okay, I got it. I'm going to save gold. I'm going to share a video, and I'm going to do it again. Over and 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 over again. I'm not going to get all deep with it. I'm not going to become a professional, nothing. I'm going to save gold for myself. I have 100% control over how much gold I save. And I have 100% control over how many people I tell. Outside of that, I have no control. I don't have control over their reaction to it. I don't have control over their level of work ethic and how hard they're going to work the business. I can control two things: how much gold I save and how many people I tell. So I mastered those two things. I put zero effort in what I cannot control, and I put 100% effort in what I can. Did y'all hear that? I'm deep, right? I'm a genius, right? Aren't I a genius? I'm a freaking genius. I spend 100% of my time on what I have 100% control over, and I spend 0% of my time over what I have 0% control over. I can't control who says yes. I can't control how hard they work when they get it. I can't control what package they get. I can't control who talks about me. I can only control what I do, which is get gold, and who I tell. I got total control over that. And if you tell a bunch of people, some of them are going to do it. And you can't tell who's going to do it. So don't even worry about who does it. Just tell a bunch of people. If you talk to 100 people, 20 of them are going to do it no matter how bad you explain it. And you shouldn't be explaining it. Just share the video. 20 out of 100 are going to do this in spite of you. And 5 of those 20 are going to crush it. And 2 of them are going to be better than you. If you ever get that through your thick skulls, that it has nothing to do with you other than how many people you expose to the business, you will get rich.
That's right.
Talk to 1,000 people, 200 will join, and 50 of them will take massive action, and you're going to crush this. 50 will take massive action, 20 of them will be flat out superstars. I have 55 active legs. And of those 55 active legs, I got 5 legs that are flat out turned on and excited, and I couldn't stop them if I tried. I could talk down on carrot bars, and those 5 people would delete me off of Facebook, and they would keep running. Because there are people out there that's just like you. Do you think you're the only Neo? You're not. So what did I do? I picked the phone up. Hey, Dante, I got something I need you to take a look at. I'm going to text you a video, and I'll call you back in an hour. Cool? Fair enough? Hey, Eric, I got a video I need you to watch, man. Watch this video right now. It's 15 minutes. I'm going to call you back in an hour and 15 minutes. Fair enough? Toya, I got a video. I need you to watch this video, okay? What is it? Don't worry about that. Watch the video. I'll call you back in an hour and 30 minutes. Good enough? Hey, Rayfus, I got a video. You need to check this out. This is phenomenal, a way we can make some serious money together. Watch the video. I'll call you back in an hour and 45 minutes. Fair enough? What is it, Mike? Don't have time right now, bro. We'll talk when I call you back. Watch the video. I did that all day for 30 days. I remember, Eric, sitting on my sofa like this, and it went. And when I heard the phone, it woke me up. I was like, oh, snap. Let me go to bed. I dropped the phone work in the business. I was so committed to this thing. I had a talk with my wife. I said, babe, I need 30 days, 90 days, uninterrupted. Don't ask me about going to movies. Don't ask me about going on vacation. Don't ask me about chilling, hanging out. I need you to just I love you. And you know I do. Stay over on that side of the house. When I come home from work, I'm going to be over here in my office. I'm going to be on the phone for 90 straight days. Can we do this? I said, I promise you, you let me have that peace and you push me and you make me do it and we're going to get free. She's like, let's go. It was March 3rd of 2014 was the last day I ever punched the clock for somebody else. I'm a grown man. You're not going to tell me what time I can go to lunch. You're not going to tell me how long I can talk to my wife on my break. No, you're not going to do. You're not going to tell me how much money I can make. I'm a grown A, which stands for African, which stands for African. I'm a grown African man. You're not going to tell me. You're not going to tell me what time I need to be somewhere. All right. So that was it. That's massive action, Mr. Taylor. Long answer. Massive action. Do everything in your power right now. Don't put a time limit on it. Just go call everybody you know. I made a huge mistake during my first 60-day run. I had a good friend. I had been friends with Sherry Brown for over 20 years, maybe 25 years. And I said to myself, Rayfus, I said, I'm going to prove the system. I'm going to go make some money first, make sure it works. Then I'll call her because I don't want to introduce my friends to something that doesn't work. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't be like Mike. Don't do that because let your friends, they're adults. Nothing is more annoying than people call me back and say, you told me about the carrot bars and I put $4,000 and I haven't made any money. You're an adult. Pull your big boy pants and big girl pants up and go to work, right? The business works. You haven't done anything. You can't tell me you made 100 calls in 30 days and you haven't made any money. You're lying. I don't have time to sugarcoat it. I'm 56 this year. I can't say you're not telling the truth. You're lying. You know you didn't make 100 calls in 30 days. You're lying. You made 3 calls in 30 days. The business is predictable. It's a numbers business. It's numbers. You got to go through those numbers real fast. And if you do, you will have a phenomenal business.
That's right.
So that's it.
I've heard it, but I'm still taking notes. Every time I hear it, I'm taking notes. Thank you, Mr. Dalcoe. Jews family, I mean, serious Jews. What we do is not hard at all. And he just simplified it. I mean, he just broke it down to, as they say, its very last compound. He just broke it down like it's simple what we do. And for us to be able to have, some of you guys know that I hadn't done networking before. I'm not sure. Toya, have you done networking before, Toya?
Never.
Okay. So for us to be blessed to be able to have leadership, and Brother Eric, we're gonna go back to you because one thing I do know as well is that last summer you was on tour like Janet Jackson. You know,
I didn't look as good though. I couldn't put on those same outfits.
I mean, each and at least seemed like, I know it wasn't, but it seemed like every weekend, Brother Eric was in a different city, in a different state, sharing this, you know, guys, I like to call it a ministry, but sharing this message. And I know that you took massive action as well. And I know that you retired yourself as well. If you don't mind, talk to the people a little bit about your journey, when you maybe your beginning journey in carrot bars, and share some of the successes that you, greetings to your lovely wife as well. The two and your sponsor have been enjoying.
Well, look, I was tricked into the business. Okay. I was now, all my dreams that I talked about earlier, the things I entertained as an adolescent, as a teen, well, all that went away when I got a job. Jobs crushed the dream because that role in society meant that if you just play your position, you have what you desire. And there was nothing further from the truth. Okay. So at the time that I was introduced to carrot bars, I was working 90 hours a week. No exaggeration, 90 hours a week, because the only way I knew to bring in something consistent in the household was to do more in what I was doing. I was too old to restart the wheel. Mr. Dalcoe said he learned about this 49. He's now, I think he said 56. Well, he's younger than me. I didn't have time to do all that again, you know, and that's a joke between Mr. Dalcoe and I, but I was working 90 hours a week. You know, I would come home, my wife and children would sleep. When I leave, my wife and children would sleep. I had no relationship to them at all, other than the fact that there was a marriage certificate and there was proof that these children were mine because they all look like me. All right, so there was nothing else beyond that. And I'm just working and working and working. I was in no position to pay attention to how I looked, what I sounded like, how I smelled, what, none of that came into play because I was just robotic. Punch in, take a break, punch in for the next shift, take a break, come home, change clothes. Wait, did I remember the shower? I'm not sure. I gotta keep going because I'll be late. That is not living. That's existing. That's not even surviving. That's the true Walking Dead. Now you know what Walking Dead is. When you're just going through the motion. If you ever watched that show, the heroes weren't the people killing the zombies. We were the zombies. We were the heroes because they were the bankers. Anyway, so I got a call from my wife, and she said that I had hey, you have a video conference next Tuesday at 7:30. I said, okay. Now my mind automatically went to hear and obey from my sojourn with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because that's how we used to communicate. I used to hear, hey, you have such and such going on this particular date at this certain time. So in my mind, I processed it as, oh, the minister needs me to do something, or the final call needs me for something. So here I am. If you don't know, I'm also a contributing writer for the Final Call newspaper. Okay, so here I go. That Tuesday comes, polishing up the laptop. My daughter brought me some coffee. I should have known something was up. She brought me some coffee. And I mean, I'm all set. Now, literally, I'm dressed, suited, and booted, sitting on my bed with the laptop out, making sure the armrest was back right in the back, and all there was a blank wall. And the first one that pops on is Brother Jamil Muhammad. I'm like, hey, assalamu alaikum, what's going on, soldier? And we get to talking, you can't talk to Jamil and not go over music, talk about clothes and dapper experiences and histories and, all the small talk. And then Sister Karen Jai Muhammad comes on. I hadn't seen Sister Jai in a long time, but I said, oh, okay, well, maybe she's working with Jamil now. This is great. Now I can find out what we're going to do. So now I got pen and pad ready. And then this other brother jumps on. I don't have the hat here. Normally I mock him. This other brother jumps on, hat turned to the side. He's sitting all hunched up to my, what's up, fam? How we doing? It was Kevin 2X. And I looked at him. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? And my wife just stopped and said, Eric, just listen. I felt like it was a drug intervention. Y'all trying to get me off of whatever I was on. You're not, look, just say no, Eric, just say no. I was so ticked off that it wasn't what I assumed, right? That I was like the child on a baseball field. I couldn't pick the side I wanted. I couldn't pick the people I wanted on my team. So I said, you know what? I took my bat, took my ball, I took my glove, and I'm trotting off the field and saying, the heck with y'all. Y'all figure out a way to play on your darn self, right? Mm-hmm. So I literally sat on the side of the bed, and I said, I don't want to look at y'all. Y'all say whatever you want. I don't need to see to hear. I have ears. I was really that pissed off. And I sat on the side like a spoiled brat. Brother Kevin tells it better than anybody I know. He said, when I got to talking, all of a sudden the screen, I started to see a shoulder. Then I saw a shoulder, chin, and the ear. He said, and when I saw it moving, I said, I got him. And that's what happened. They reeled me right on in. And I sat down full startle in the screen. I said, wait a minute, you're trying to tell me if I save in gold and get paid to save, I get paid to save, and I tell others I also get paid to save? I mean, telling people? And I get paid how many times a month? 5 times a month? It all comes real time, but I get paid when? Every Friday and at least once a month? And it's all based on me just telling people that I know? And then I remember Brother Jamil wanted to add something to it. I said, hey, Jamil, you're a great fan of music, right? He said, of course. I said, you remember the game? You want to do some game show trivia? I said, yeah. I said, do you know the tune to Jeopardy? He said, yeah, doom, doom, doom. I said, okay, play that. And I put him on mute. I cut him off while he was doing Jeopardy. And I turned to my wife. I said, yes, sweetheart, we can do this. She's like, I know, right? I said, we want to do it? She said, yes, can we do it? I said, yeah, baby, we'll do it. Well, what I got to do? Well, how much we got? Then I looked at my pocket and said, oh, how much you got? She said, well, Eric, if I use this, I'm going to be taking it from she took it from her pension. her retirement stuff. See, I have to move it from over here. And said, okay, well, if you do that, we'll just worry about you. Just do, and whatever I got to do, I'll just keep pushing through you and we'll just grow together. It's okay. We were so happy. Look, she got a silver package. I didn't have a package, but I signed up right along with, I signed up under her. Then Brother Kevin and Sister Jai explained a little more to me about how it works. How do you tell everybody? I said, okay, bet. I said, give me your referral link. She gave me the referral link. I told everybody and their mama. Then about a week and a half or so, I still see her doing what she does. I barely see her now because I'm working 90 hours still. So when I see her, I don't know what's happening with the business. I said, yeah, how's that? Listen to me. How's that Caraboss thing going? Right? She said, oh, I guess it's going okay. And she opens up the back office and we look at it. So what's this over here under your account? And there were 2 sets of numbers with a decimal and then several more numbers, like not like this or this, like this, and a euro sign. Now, I may have been born yesterday, but not last night. Somebody was making bank and it wasn't me, right? It turns out everybody I referred, they were all taking out VIP packages.
Wow.
And I knew nothing about it. I just gave it to her and went on. She knew nothing about it. She was just, doing what she did. And there was money in that camp. She was like, look at all the money we made. I said, what do you mean we? Got me a package. And the rest is history. 2 things happened. One was massive action and mind shifting, power shifting the mind. Okay. I had not met or seen at this point Mr. Dalcoe or Mr. Best. I hadn't never met them. I started seeing videos, YouTubes, as I started paying more attention. I didn't know much about plugging in. Okay. And I was blessed to hear a freedom call while I was at the plantation one night. And in that freedom call, Mr. Best and Mr. Dalcoe partnered. And they're talking about the business. And I'm sorry, it was a Sunday night train, it was a fast track, it wasn't a freedom call. And Mr. Dalcoe said, it is so simple. He said, for every 100 people you tell, 20 will respond, 5 will sign up, and 2 will be rock stars. And I heard him say that. And I'm working in a building at that time. I worked for one of the hotels. I worked with 100 people every day. Sometimes it'll be a different 100 people because someone will be off, others will be on. I said, oh, this how it works? So I told 100 people every day for the first 7 days of the opportunity. And then 2 of those days I used to follow up with the people that said they wanted to look. And I haven't looked back since. 2,000 people later, here we are.
That's some serious, serious mass. 100 people a day.
Yeah, it's easy. You got that in your phones. Look, and what I do, simple. Every day, I write 100 people in here. Every day. I may not get to them every day, but I write 100 names in here every day. And I work on where I left off. And then we do what Mr. Dalcoe taught us about reverse calling. It's the follow-up. So I don't concern myself with everybody that I put in here that I reached out to. I only concern myself with those who decided. So when I reached out to them in here and then they said yes, they go in this book. And my follow-ups are in here. So all my follow-ups are dated, phone numbers, where I left off, what I need to do, what time I need to talk to them, and I was talking to them. And that's how I built it, right? But here's the shift. I'm gonna show you this real quick. If you allow me to share this, I'm gonna show you.
Go ahead, brother.
Here's the mind shift. You see that?
It's showing your screen. Oh, yeah, yes, can now.
Okay. That came from Dan Geromo, known as Big Boomer. And this false worship we have of money, that's our biggest obstacle because we don't believe it's attainable. Because we always believe, because look, unconsciously we understand there's no purchasing power behind the dollar. That's why we're always moved by Hollywood movies when you see stacks of it, when you see bands wrapped around it. Subconsciously, it explodes our mind because we know that there's no power in a few of them, okay? And very little power in the stack, 3 to 5 cents worldwide. That's the purchasing power of the US dollar, okay? So this false sense of worship has to be broken up. So I started doing this as an exercise with some of my team members. I would say, take out $1, take out whatever you have, whatever fiat you had. I didn't care if it was $1, I didn't care if it was a $500 bill. I said, now write on the back of it, I am a piece of paper and I control your entire life. And then I had them stand up in one after the other, go into the mirror. Say it with the bill in front of you, keep moving. Next, say it, do it, next. And that's what I was doing. To break up that mind shift, mindset. I guarantee you, you do that 3 times in 1 day, 2 days, by 3 days, you understand gold is money. You don't ever want to have to handle that dollar if you don't want it. You're gonna find a way to move it. So it's that mind shift. You have to create that wedge and just broaden the mindset. And when you broaden the mindset, you shifted gears. But you never arrive. You know, I don't have a garage, but I don't have a garage either. You know, I got a storage unit. It's not the same thing as a garage, let alone a garage. Well, that's part of my dream list now, you see? So yeah, I retired the plantation back in February. I decided there was freedom in the exchange, as Mr. McKay told us, you know, and I remember sitting with these, well, people, I was about to say something else. I was sitting with them and they literally called me in there. This was a follow-up to some kind of promotion they wanted to give me, and they wanted to give me a raise. I don't know, I think it was like 50 cents, you know? And I'm sitting there. Now, mind you, I'm already only working 1 day a week as it is, because Brother Dante, you know, I did travel. I was gone every weekend. I was somewhere else every weekend. I can be in Memphis and do a live stream in New Brunswick, New Jersey from Memphis, and go back and do my presentation in Memphis. And then the next day, meet with the team there, find out how and where I can help them. And then I jump off to South Carolina. I was doing, you know how I did it? It was because of what came in. The commissions were growing, and saving 10% of whatever you earn, that doesn't mean pay yourself first by getting a package, saving gold, and you be done with it. No, anything that came in, 10% of it went into and onto account. I tithed myself. And so then the commission base grew, and out of the commissions, I was traveling to every city that said they could use some assistance. And I did it. And I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for the friendships and the growth of the family, you know? So that's how it was done. And that's how, that's how we built. That's how we built. There's a lot more that I would say, but, it's past.
Brother, we'll first off, no time limit. Second off, this Street Ministry TV. So, we tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. We frank, and if you don't like it.
Man, I'm so happy to see Brother Rayfus, the graphic extraordinaire, the man with the God's eye.
Right. Come on in here, brother. So we got our other co-hosts in here. He's been playing in the background. Come on in here and say something to the people.
Look, call this Midday with Tay Toia, and Ray.
Right.
Oh wow! Thank you.
I did bring that to their attention.
Yeah, she did say that. She did say that.
Told you she's the second self of God. She ain't no slouch.
Oh no, not. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hey, I'm just glad to be able to even be on the stream today because, you know, the plantation sometimes has me locked down as well. So the fact that I can jump on the stream with the illustrious Mr. Dalcoe and Mr. Eric Ture, you know what I'm saying, living legend, you know, it's definitely a blessing to me. So I'm just glad to be, you know what I'm saying, be a part of, you know what I'm saying, all these jewels that's being dropped today. And definitely it's putting a light, even more fire up under me listening to these two on what they did. Hey, I would say I'm slacking extreme listening to, you know what I'm saying, the amount of work, the massive action they put behind getting free. So I definitely have to step my game up. So I'm glad to be on here to even learn those jewels today. Appreciate it.
Hey, brother, hey, you already know I'm taking notes. Off camera when we get done.
Right.
Hey, we about to get switch some stuff up.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Dalcoe. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad as well. Right, we about to rebound. Breakfast Club, here we come. Let's go.
Hey, look, y'all already go ahead. Y'all already doing it.
Well, thank you, brother. Again, let us say publicly, I know we have before, but for people that don't know, Brother Eric Ture Muhammad came to Michigan. He's come more than once, but he came to help the team. Man, everybody loves, bro. Well, everybody does in general, period. But everybody, the entire team loves Brother Eric. Shout out to Bob, Trina, the James gang. Shout out to Tamika.
Well, congratulations, Tamika. I see your brother's home. Your brother's home. That's what's up.
Congratulations, Mimi. No doubt. Hey, I know she's extremely happy. Definitely. Hope you're enjoying yourself with your brother too as well, sis. Can't forget Teddy.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, we got it. I'm probably missing somebody. I said Tracy. But yeah, then
Patricia.
Tracy.
Tracy.
Who's gonna kill me? That's right.
Ray the third.
You made
Ray the first.
Right.
Mama
them. Mama them.
The yak, baby.
Oh man, yeah, we had a great time. I don't want to go too long, brother, but I know I've ever since you made that correlation when we were at the IHOP that morning regarding the coffee. If you can, I've said it before, but if you can maybe if you can expound, or if you can just maybe repeat what you told us. And I think it would help a lot of people that's listening, that's in the business as well. And it was so simple, but to me, it was like profound. So yeah, brother, if you don't mind, break that down for us again.
Well, you know, I think what separates Mr. Dalcoe, the Browns, the Best family, what separates these giants is that they have no fear of rejection. They actually have no fear. You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that Master Fard Muhammad taught him that if you eat hot peppers, it removes fear. Just eat hot peppers as a part of your diet, and it removes fear from you. It removes it from your metabolism. So I think I have to believe there's some truth to it, because I can't see myself being afraid or fearful of nothing other than the God. You know, I eat a lot of peppers. So anyway, so when you understand rejection, then you know that it's not personal. You know that it's part and parcel of what you do. You know, people hear things like no meaning not now, no meaning not yet. Well, sometimes straight up, no means not you. You could be pumping or priming the well for someone else coming along, and that's okay too, because this opportunity is for everybody. How it works though, I use the analogy of coffee service. You ever in a restaurant and people come around? I forgot the sister's name that handled us that day. I hope somebody signed her up. If not, I'm coming back. So we're in the restaurant, and she comes around and she would ask, do we need to refresh the coffee? Any more coffee here? You know, some say no, some said yes, some said I want soda instead. Others asked, do you have some water that you can give me with some lemon? And she handled all that cheerfully and went on about her business. I'm sure she didn't go in the back, start knocking over coffee urns and kicking filters because we didn't want her coffee, as much as she worked on it. You have to see it like that. This opportunity, offering opportunities like serving coffee. You come to the table, more coffee for you, sir? No? Okay. Ma'am, how about you? No? Okay. How about you, sir? Really? There you go. Enjoy. And you go on about your business. That's what this opportunity is. You just go from one person to the next and you don't take it personal because your coffee, your earn is one of opportunity. You're offering an opportunity. And what happens? They'll probably remember you for it. See, you want to tell everybody about this opportunity. Everybody. And you don't wait for them. You don't stay there and try to convince them. You tell everybody you can as fast as you can. Don't go back to them unless they agree to do something. Then you have a whole nother level of follow-up. But you keep moving. You tell more people less faster, or say less to more people faster. Because what's going to happen, we're about to turn the corner in June, folks. There's something coming. There's something coming that's so powerful, so magnificent. I think all of us should write down that date of June 15th to launch and relaunch our business. Now, some of you may not want to wait, especially if your business only consists of 2 or 3 people. But you want to put yourself in position so that the world knows you for carrot bars, because the world will know carrot bars. See, we have people reaching right now. They're looking for something. And if they make themselves available, they can hear the opportunity from us. But if they don't make themselves available, hey, we just go to the next one, the next one, to the next one, right? But when they learn that it's carrot bars, they're going to remember that you tried. And they're going to come back to you. It might be 2 years later, Sister Toia. It might be 4 years later. It might be 7 years later. But guess what? They're coming to you, and they're coming ready for that revolution. So you have to always stay ready. You have to always stay primed. You have to always stay in front, and never, ever, ever at any point of it, take it personal. Now, that's hard to do if you're only dependent on Bubba and them, you know, your family. If you're dependent on people to understand it the way you do now, because you see millionaire growth, but they're in nickel and dime arenas, no, they're not going to see it. When you try to pick and choose, cherry pick who's going to embrace this opportunity, you shooting yourself in the foot. You tell everybody, but you wait for nobody. And watch how the God blesses you. The success that we're enjoying right now, that success is coming off of what we did 18 months ago. Not even 18 months. I've only been in the business. Good God. I haven't been in business a year and a half yet. You see? But we're enjoying the fruits of what we did in October of 2018. We're enjoying the fruits of what we did in January of 2019. Here we are in 2020, and it's starting to take a whole nother life and a whole nother level and a whole nother form. In that hotel I was working in, almost 70 people were affiliates before I left. Almost 70. That's a pretty good ratio, I guess. Right? But they weren't active. Maybe a couple, a handful. And then there's others who just want to save and go. That's active. They want to save and go. They didn't want to work the business. Then there's others who just signed up with me just to get me out of their face. Right? That's okay too. God uses whom he chooses. He allowed them to see enough into it just to sign up. Just like some of us, we hold grudges against our children, or we hold grudges against our parents because they weren't there when we were children. Well, God gave them something, gave them enough to get you here. Be grateful for the life source and keep moving. You see, we got to get out of the grudging. We got to get to that level of forgiving ourselves get ourselves out the way. There are people we will go to, but we don't because we think they know something about us. They probably forgotten more than we remember, you know, because they have life. We don't go to them. That might be your $1 million there. That might be your seeds right there. If only God can count the amount of apples in a seed, he didn't tell you which one will give you what you wanted. Go after all because God is after all. It's simple. So I hope that wasn't too long, but.
No, brother. Ooh, I think it's I can go on for about another hour or so. What we want to do right now, we want to get into, you already know what's coming to you. Hey, I coined this, every stream, Toya comes with a cold quote. So I call it playfully a cold quote. It's time for Toya's cold quote. I know you got something over there for us, sister. Let's get one of them cold quotes.
No, not really. I'll just say this. Today has been very, very informative, and we definitely must learn how to preserve our wealth. And I'm just going to end with this. Save a lot of gold, tell a lot of people, make a lot of money. Back to you.
STM.
STM. And then she throw in that smile where you just sit there and go, oh.
STM.
Right. Well, we had decided earlier, because you are our big brother, we wanted to, of course, we want to get last words, and again, we're not on any time schedule or anybody's schedule but our own. We want to get any last words, closing comments from you, and we're going to have you sign us off today with the piece instead of us. So, but before we do sign off, we do want to thank you, brother. This is, we've been on streams, millions, I don't say millions, we've been on lots of them. Brother, this was that heat. Them heat rocks for real. They all are, but this was some serious heat rocks. I guess.
Yeah, we got Dalcoe dumped. That's right.
Exactly. He came in and dumped a whole hookup on us. Thank you again, Mr. Michael Dalcoe. We appreciate. Because that's something that people like to see free people, and then they want to know how you did it. So for us to be able to get that information from him and from you, it's truly a blessing, brother. So I know on behalf of all of us, we really thank you. Personally, man, I love you, man. You're the big brother I never had. I love you to death, man. And I appreciate all your wisdom, all in the quiet moments, words of inspiration and just advice and all that good stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? I really do appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. But if nothing else from our panelists, okay, definitely. We're gonna leave it over to you, brother. Last words, closing comments from Mr. ETM himself.
Well, it is absolute honor to be with family. And at the end of the day, all we have is each other. So God, family, nation, in that order. When you put the God out front because everything depends on him, and then as a family, we work like everything depends on us, then we'll be successful in developing that nation of wealth builders. We need an army of wealth builders. We need a nation of wealth builders. And God is perfect in his make. He knows that it's in each and every one of his creatures to be all that he needs for us to be, that he desires for us to be. But we have to wake it up in people. What's the power of seeds? You ever go out and you want to get your lawn started, and when you're not in Michigan snow, you might have some seeding that you do, right? So you go out and you seed your lawn up and whatnot. Well, some of those seeds scatter on the ground. Some of those seeds end up getting washed into the gutter in the rain. Some of it some of the growth that you put on your lawn is too strong in some areas, and it might bleach it out or burn it out. And then there's other areas of it where it flourishes so much you have to manicure that side of it a little more often, right? But the seeds that land on the ground, 6 miles or so in the air, is visible to a bird. And that buzzard will swoop down, snatch that seed, go on about his business. Or that bird may come down, snatch that seed, and go on about his business. There's a difference between the buzzard and the bird, okay? The buzzard is the scavenger. You're dropping the seeds, and then you have people who come in and swoop down on the opportunity that you're making for others, and they get selfish with it. They just take it and they roll on about their business. But all they're gonna do is consume it and poop it out. That's all they can do because they're buzzards. All right? The bird goes back to the nest and feeds its family. Okay? What about those seeds that end up running down the gutter?
Say that, bro.
They run down the gutter, end up going into the sewage. It comes out into a landfill, and before you know it, it takes root somewhere else. You might have a tree with fruit, with more seeds growing in your name. When you share this opportunity everywhere, you find yourself with teams in Africa. You find yourself with teams in London. You find yourself with teams in Australia. 4 countries just opened up with Caribous. Now we're in 150 countries. We just opened China yesterday, India yesterday. Today, the French Polynesia opened up in Guadeloupe. We're in 150 countries when there's only 184 recognized in the world. And being in those countries does not mean that we're there where we can just use our passport. It means that we have agreements with those governments to exchange and enact currency and affect revenue building and affect the creation of wealth, 1 gram at a time or more. And with something as powerful as a phone, laptop, computer, tablet, iPad, whatever those new doodads are, WIM, K1, 8 billion people are at your fingertips. So don't take lightly what God has put in your hands. He wants you to reflect him. He wants you to work from his dual team. He wants you to be part of Team God, what do you say? He wants you to say, oh. He wants you to use the goodness of his gold in God. Last point on that. You know, when you start to build your wealth, remember that you're building for a future. There's a huge difference between immediate gratification and immediate necessities. So you apply that 0.9% towards your necessities. You apply a portion of that 0.9% to your immediate wants, your gratifications. But don't ever, ever, ever give away your tithes. Don't ever give away your 10th. You build your 10th because that's your storehouse. And what's going to happen with that, God will produce opportunity for you in a way that could never have happened before. One thing about the traveling that I've done, you know, in the year and 4 months inside the US, we close to 30 cities. Some of them were duplicated. You know, a good many were duplicated, but 30 cities. And we enjoyed tremendous volume and tremendous growth in the world of Caribous, in the world of Wealthbuilders. All this rank achievement and stuff that was going on, that's okay. But look, this is where you had to be careful. I grew in my desire to do, to give, to share, because it's always what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to help. I always wanted to find being a helper. I always wanted to be able to articulate what I know, not necessarily what I just believe, right? So I was willing to do that, and I would do it anywhere. But this is where you have to be careful, because in the early part of that, I didn't understand tithing and what it was designed to do. And so I was giving away my tithe. And that's when I discovered it, that's when I started teaching and training, as opposed just to going around doing presentations. Here's what I mean. If you give to the needy from your tithing, you're going to end up in need. So if a man is hungry and I give him a fish sandwich, and then he comes back because he knows he can get another one, I give him a fish sandwich and fries, and then I might give him a fish sandwich, fries, and drink, thinking that should cap it, but he keeps coming back. You know, I did him a greater disservice, as well as lost my storehouse of value, my treasure, because I'm just giving it. I want to give, but you have to be discerning now because you're building wealth. So I do nothing but store that 10th, and I work out of the remainder. However, I'll teach a person how to fish before I give away another sandwich. Mr. Dalcoe and I were in a discussion, and a fella imposed on him and asked him for something. Asked him to give him some money or loan some money. He said, I can't do that. He said, I'm not in a position to. I said, man, what do you mean you're not in a position to? You know, everybody knows you're Mike Dalcoe, man. You're rich. He said, yeah, but I'm not in a position to give it to you because the money I have is for my children's children's children. It's not mine. See, when you put yourself in that mindset of true legacy wealth and true wealth building and being remembered, you're thinking way beyond midnight to 11:59 p.m. You're thinking way beyond that. You're thinking way beyond the calendar month. You're envisioning things that you will not be here to see, but you'll see. I watched Michael Jackson. Some of his team encouraged me to watch this YouTube. It was on YouTube now, but it was the behind scenes to This Is It, not the This Is It movie, but all that made up the mind of Mike. And so I shared it on my page a couple of days ago. That thing was so fire.
Yes.
That thing was so fire. I mean, this cat designed a 3D plane that his whole team bought it, and it flew across the audience. And if he was able to do that show, everybody had 3D glasses. Yeah, I mean, look, you just have to see it. Because he said if he can't do something that has never been done before for a people, it wasn't worth attempting. You want to be remembered down the road. You want statues built with your beautiful faces on them in your fine suit. It could be a statue of the Dante still photo right there, fist pump, WBW, and that gold bow tie, and just a statue somewhere in the middle of a square. And the world would know that their world is better because Dante came several hundred years ago. That's what we want. I'm going to have to jump now. I really appreciate it. I have a YouTube. Can I do a plug here?
You sure can, brother. Definitely.
I have a YouTube presentation that I'll be doing at 6 p.m. Eastern in an hour or so on the Eric Ture Muhammad YouTube channel. I have a Monday through Saturday, I'll be doing a 6 p.m. Eastern presentation there called The Quarantine Life. The Quarantine Life. And I would like for everyone to subscribe and share and all that good stuff. But the same days, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern. Tay Toia, Rayfus, y'all know that's Dante's freedom bedtime. He ain't around. But
what time, brother? I'm actually
we do class is in session.
Okay.
On the Eric Ture Muhammad Facebook page. And you've given so much value to my life through your commitment that has only made me want to learn more, to share more, so you can do more. And that's my mode of operandi. And the last thing, a sister asked me in an interview in Belgium 2 days ago. No, I'm sorry. My days are mixed up. That's the other thing that comes with freedom. But it was a Sunday morning, Monday morning. And she said, your father accomplished so much. Minister Farrakhan has accomplished so much. You've been around so many legacies. She asked me, she said, how do you want to be remembered? I was like, damn. Yeah, that was like way off the beaten path. And she said, how do you want to be remembered? I said, often.
Right.
Often. I couldn't speak to the superlative of it. I couldn't speak to the grand scheme. I don't know enough about me yet. It's still a lot about me I don't like, but I want to be remembered often if it helps. So with that being said, I put these streams together to be remembered for offering that which God has given all of us. And Karatbars offers everybody the opportunity to be great. So stay ready. I love you all, family. All y'all are fly. Rayfus, Dante, I love your hairdos. So Toya, keep it proper, sister. Keep it proper. Keep it proper. Greetings to the families, the spouses, the significant others in their lives, and stay in unity, stay in love. Big shout out to all Team Street Ministry. I'm always thinking about the James gang, Tracine, Patricia, Tamika, everybody, and Teddy Howard, the smooth one. I appreciate.
Hey, brother,
that.
Did you say Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Is that Facebook or YouTube?
That is YouTube.
Okay.
Monday through Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern is YouTube, and Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern is Facebook, Eric Ture Muhammad.
Okay, and your YouTube is Mr. Eric Ture Muhammad, correct?
No, Mr. Just Eric Ture Muhammad.
Okay. All right, I'm putting it. Hey, we're doing two things at once. I'm putting it in the chat room for you guys looking on Facebook. Make sure that you follow Mr. Eric Ture Muhammad, and make sure that you tune in. Brother has a wealth of knowledge. Brother has a serious wealth of knowledge. I learn something every time I hear him talk. So I mean, it's when you have brothers, friendship like that. Brother Ray is the same. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you have Toya is the same. Whenever you steel sharpens steel. Let me just say that. But with that, brother, we appreciate you. We love you.
Love you too.
We always we always get out of here. We say peace when we get out of here, but like you said, we're gonna have you send us on up out of here, brother. So once again, thank you for coming to the Tay and Toya show. Send us on up out of here, brother.
Well, this was a Tay, Toya, and Ray Day, baby. Family, I appreciate the honor and the privilege to be here, and understand that there's no other place to be, no better place to be than with a group, with a family of wealth builders who have the power to bring about the realities they dream for. So the 4 Ds, dream, desire, determination, discipline, will get you the lifestyle of your dreams. Peace and power. Stay ready for revolution. Forward.
Peace.